come what may. And when you look at even the composition of the same board and the people who are there at ZAMSA, most of those people, when you check their background, you find that they own pharmacies.
Now this was, Angel, this was in 2022 when Brian Sampa raised that alarm. Dr. Brian Sampa. Nobody took him seriously. That was 2022. Nobody took him seriously. 3 years down the line, the American embassy or the American ambassador raises the same issues that Dr. Brian Sampa raised. Dr. Brian Sampa, when he raised these issues, he was kicked out of employment because they said that he was bringing out issues that were not verified and that he was alarming the nation of matters that weren't there.
Yeah.
The American ambassador raises the same issues. And what happens now? The government deliberately now begins releasing this report to try and use it as a smokescreen to cleanse themselves of the corruption which President Hakainde Hichilema knows. The president knows what has been going on at ZAMSA. The president knows, even before those board members were cleared, because the president looks at those names. He knew exactly what they were owing, what they were owning, and their vested interest in the health sector. And one would even not help thinking they were even appointed at ZAMSA to be part of the board, because they should be harvesting or helping themselves.
Of course, maybe one may argue that maybe to some extent, especially the composition of the ZAMSA board members that were put on that particular board at that time. Yes, you may know a little bit of information, but coming to know information that this one has got a pharmacy, maybe that one we can say the president never knew. Because I remember when the issue of the 61 containers came up, I'm sure you are aware of that issue. Yeah. When the minister was asked, were you aware? She said no. And the ministry's mandate is just to sort of play an oversight role. That's why there is a board at ZAMSA, and we give them that autonomy. You operate, do what is needed. You have the guidelines in which to purchase the medicine. And for us, the ministry, we just do that oversight role. So then,
maybe Angel
at ZAMSA, because they are the ones that are procuring these medicines.
No. The problem starts even with the appointments. And I want to make a correction there. I was minister myself, I was cabinet minister. When you are appointing a board, when you're appointing anybody to go to a board, the first people that you give the names for clearance, it's the office of the president. They have to clear those people. And when the office of the president finds that these people are not fit to hold positions in that board, they will advise you. And in the case of ZAMSA, they will advise the president that this is what we have found about each one. They'll give you the information.
So there wasn't due diligence done?
No, due diligence was done, I want to presuppose. But I think advice is given, it is either taken or ignored. And in the case of President Hichilema, the advice obviously was ignored. He knew the facts, he knew the people, but some of these people, as you know, are very much affiliated to the UPND. And he had to find ways of trying to appease them so that they can have positions in some of these boards, despite their vested interests in the health sector. Now, what I'm trying to bring out here is the fact that this is the hypocrisy the Citizens First has been talking about concerning our president. He has not been real, and we would want him to begin getting real. And I'm praying that the American ambassador does not fall for his gimmicks of trying to say he's going to crack the whip in the fight against corruption in the procurement of drugs. Where has he been the last 4 years of his governance? Why hasn't he cracked the whip? Where has he been from 2022 when he formed those when those boards were formed? Why didn't he crack the whip when he realized that the officials that were appointed at ZAMSA, some of them had conflict of interest? When
they realized that he dissolved the board and they fired the director general.
No, but when was that? When was that? When was that? And this is where the Americans have a problem, because they are saying you are only firing permanent secretaries. From the time that he became president, I was doing my research last evening, up to date, the president has fired about 5 permanent secretaries from the Ministry of Health. 5. No single minister has been fired, despite the Auditor General's report implicating some of the ministers. He has not touched them. What does that tell you? Why is he insisting on firing Kapenta, Chisense, and is afraid of dealing with the brim? Why? How can you fight corruption when your procedure of fighting corruption is not very well orchestrated? You are choosing who to target. You have got favorites who you should not touch. The fight against corruption must be blind. These monies that we have lost from the United States of America, these people that have opened up pharmacies and donor-donated medicines is finding itself in private pharmacies. And just because you've been exposed by the cooperating partners, then now you want to come up and say, I am breathing fire. Where have you been? So, I put it to the president that clearly his fight against corruption is cosmetic, it is not real. Either because...
Let's say, yes, there is this corruption, but we've seen that the president has acted, and they've given comparisons to what happened in the past. They're saying, if anything, this particular company that's being contracted to do an audit by at ZAMSA was initiated by the state. And when this particular company was given to do this audit, there was even eyebrows that were raised among the opposition and civil society organizations that why are you getting a private company to audit ZAMSA? So it's from those causes that people are concluding that yes, corruption is there, but the president is doing all he can. But at the end of the day, there's an entire system altogether that has to fight corruption. Yes, he is the one who's in charge, he is the lead, but other systems also have to fall in place for us to fight this corruption. So there is that political will. What would you respond to such sentiments, that there is political will?
I would tell you that there are two faces.
Seeing from the firings, 5 firings, I think if 5 permanent secretaries have been fired in one ministry, then there is that political
Those have
will
been scapegoats.
that there is that political will that corruption is not condoned.
And exactly what you are talking is the exact result they expect to get. They know that there will be individuals that will fall for it, like yourself, Angel. They'll give you a picture that, look, we have fired these 5 permanent secretaries. Look, we have done this. That is what they want to get. But the actual culprits who should be brought to book are not being brought to book. There is something you should know, that the fight against corruption by the UPND has been two-faced. Yes, 100% I will agree with you. The fight against corruption, pakanwa, kulandalanda pakanwa, 100%. And when they are reading statements, 100% they're fighting corruption. But when it comes to practical means of uprooting corruption, that is not happening. The fight is heavily selective. It has been reduced to political opponents. And when cooperating partners like the Americans have done, and they have breathed fire on him, and the administration of President Againt, that's when you see now, nothing new that they're bringing here. There's nothing new. This thing is being brought to light like this and being blown out of proportion for the sake of the Americans, so that the American ambassador can fall for it. Your Excellency, Mr. Michael Gonzalez, don't fall for this. There is no fight happening here. All this, what they are trying to bring to the fore, they knew about this as far as 2022. Dr. Brian Sampa talked about it. Why didn't they investigate when he told them that some board members had traveled to Egypt to go and look at the medications? Why didn't they investigate the matter when Dr. Brian Sampa told them that some of these board members are conflicted in terms of their interest? They didn't. What did they do? They kicked him out because they said they've got a loud mouth. When we are eating, we don't talk.
Yeah, so
now,
if
it is those things, for me, Angel, that are wrong, and that for as long as the fight against corruption is being dealt with like this, in a cosmetic manner, to always play politics, instead of fighting it holistically, there is nowhere we are going.
Yes, but Mr. Kalaba, we also know that permanent secretaries, especially in these ministries, you would say they're the controlling officers. They are the ones that run the show. A minister is just merely there for approval and whatnot. If all these things are happening in your eyes, if you are president right now, you are saying that the fight against those are scapegoats that the president fired in the name of permanent secretaries. If you are president right now and everything is unfolding right in front of your eyes, what would you do differently?
First of all,
So that perhaps maybe
I would fire the minister. I would fire the minister. Because a minister is appointed to be in charge of policy in a particular ministry. When that minister goes to that ministry, and that minister clearly knows that the policy of their government is not being adhered to, the first whistleblower is the minister. That is why the architects of the organization of these ministries were very clear. They made sure that the minister was going to be concentrating on policy issues and the permanent secretary was going to be concentrating on administrative issues. And that is why they call them controlling officers, because they're controlling finances in the ministry. Now, when you find a situation that the minister who is the supervisor of the permanent secretary in the ministry fails to raise the alarm, both the minister and the permanent secretary become casualties if Harry Kalaba is president. Because you should have told me as head of state that there was this issue and you didn't talk about it. You should have told me as head of state that your people were conflicted in interest and you didn't take interest to go and deal with this matter.
But if at that particular time the minister says, I wasn't aware,
then you are an inefficient minister. Because when things are happening in your ministry, you must know. Let me tell you, when I was Minister of Lands, I was not the one distributing land. I was not the one giving out lands to people. No. But because I was an effective minister, I asked the Commissioner of Lands and the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Lands. I'm sure they are listening. They'll tell you. I told them every morning between 7:30 and 8 hours, I want the two of you before me in my office to give me a brief of what is, and Desi Ngambi would be in my office every morning. I took up the same practice when I was Foreign Affairs Minister. I used to meet Permanent Secretary Lombecha at that time and the directors in the various departments. Then Kanyamula Zulu as my Permanent Secretary. I used to meet them between 7:30 and 8 hours for them to tell me what I needed to know. And I was asking them every time, can I know what is happening? Is there something I need to know? I would ask them. So if they told me, no, Minister, there is this, there is this, there is this, there is this, oh, very good. Sometimes I even took random visits of Ministry of Lands. They'll tell you everybody who's working there. Sometimes I did the same at Foreign Affairs. Random visits at the Foreign Affairs. Go in this office, go in that office, just to see how the building was. Because I knew that I was sitting in that office, representing the president. And I wanted to be accountable for everything. More so that I am the one that goes to Parliament to defend the ministry's budget. So I needed to be in charge. And I was in charge of the ministry. I never touched their funds, but I needed to know what exactly was happening. I never was part of the tender committees, but I needed to know that they were following the correct procedures. For as long as I was there, they were going to do the right thing. So when someone tells you they can come here, they fire you, Angel, and they leave your boss because they think that you have mismanaged things for Radio Christian Voice, when you are getting instructions from your boss, or when your boss is aware, your boss is spared, then that same one who has spared you is incompetent. And in this regard, President Againt has demonstrated his incompetence of the highest level as president of the country, because he is avoiding to be real and avoiding to be tough. He has to bite the bullet. He has to bite the bullet.
And in
biting the bullet, fire the minister responsible. Don't spare the minister and you go for Chisense and Kapenta. Go for the brim. Why have you left the brim?
Yeah, and also people that are listening to you would also want recommendations, seeing that ZAMSA, it's not only this the procurement of drugs, but also heard of the 61 containers. We've also heard of how sometimes medicine doesn't end up at the end of the day at the health facility. In wrapping up this ZAMSA issue, what would be your recommendations to ensure that ZAMSA is effective and serves the Zambian people? Because at the end of the day, this is the taxpayers' money that is going to waste. And also seeing that even as we currently, as we're speaking, ZAMSA, there's no director general and there's no board. I think it was dissolved sometime last year. So what would be your recommendation to ensure that ZAMSA is once again effective and serves the Zambian people?
Not only ZAMSA, all institutions of governance, the political figures that are in power now must delink, must stop must remove their fingers from the operations of those organizations. ZAMSA can do very well if there was no interest. ZAMSA can do very well. But because there is a lot of interest that is being pushed on ZAMSA, some we are even hearing, some people who are being mentioned in this report are from State House. They are from State House. For as long as they'll continue fidgeting in the operations at Ministry of Health, for as long as they'll continue fidgeting in the operations of procurement, these stories will never die. And people who are saying that they are going to, their fight against corruption will be holistic, we are waiting to see how that fight against corruption will be holistic. We want heads to roll, because the embarrassment that Zambia has suffered as a result of not supervising these ministries effectively is so gross that it cannot pass without us being serious.
So on a rate of 1 to 10, on that scale, how would you rate the UPND's fight against corruption?
The UPND's, I told you already that the UPND's fight against corruption is twofold. There's one, on another scale, they have scored 100% when it comes to reading statements written for them on corruption. That one you can't fault them. They read those statements and they'll talk about the fight against corruption and that they're going to take the fight against corruption head on. And then they talk, and it ends there. But when it comes to implementation and really biting the bullet, zero.
All right. In case you're just tuning in, you are listening to Wednesday's edition of Chat Back right here on Radio Christian Voice. My name is Angel Kosavo. This morning, we are looking at the topic assessing the fight against corruption under the UPND leadership. This is our topic of discussion this morning. You can come through on the number 0956-200-490. And then also, in case you are tuning or joining live on Facebook, it is RCV News. Post your comment and also where you are watching from this morning. And we'll get to those comments a little bit later. All right. Let's also quickly move to a point of an item that Zambians would really want your opinion on. And this has to do with the Mumbwa gold rush. And let me just put a little bit of context to it. Because from the information that we got, so the locals discovered these gold deposits in Mumbwa, Kikonge area. And we saw quite a number of locals going into that particular area. But then police was deployed because they've called for this formalization of this mining, and there was a lot of illegal mining taking place. Now, I also had the privilege to do an interview with some of the locals there, and you know, I continue to ask them, why don't you formalize what you are doing? And there's something that they told me that really caught my attention, and they said they gave me a case study of the Mpika. Yes, and Kansenseli gold mine, and they said, look, first of all, getting these licenses and then by the moment or by the time we're getting that license, would have found somebody's already here. So that's why we want to get what we can, and also we change our livelihood. And we later heard from the police that 3 people were shot. They were shot and then they died of their bleeding. That's according to the minister. But also just in generally how government has handled that particular issue. It seems it's the same trend. Even maybe next week, we may not know, maybe there's going to be another gold rush in Lufanyama, and it's going to be the same. People are going to flock there, then the police is deployed, and then issues just go quiet. So what do you make of the Mumbwa gold rush saga, and are you impressed in the manner government has sorted that issue?
Thank you very much, Angel. You ask a very pertinent question. I will tell you that I'm very saddened by the happenings in Mumbwa. I am coming from Northwestern Province, as you know. And the feedback I've gotten, when that gold was discovered in Kikonge area, what government should have done was to go to that area and address the people that were digging the same gold and tell them, we are giving you 90 days or 100 days. Please, as you are digging this gold, formalize your documents. Give Ministry of Mines strict instructions to say, we have given 90 days in which these operations in Kikonge area must be formalized, and we want you to help them get their licenses there. Just that. The people would have been given the licenses to continue mining the gold. This is what our friends in Ghana did. Ghana, not 2 years ago, just a year ago, they also had a $5 billion through small-scale miners. We need to do the same in our country. When they discovered the gold in Mumbwa, we should have had the experts at Ministry of Mines go to Kikonge, but we should have also had the provincial minister to provide the political will and assurance to tell them that President Chilema has told us that you are going to be here for the next 100 days. And in the 100 days, he has given me strict instructions in which to help all of you here. Either you come together as cooperatives, either you come together as 3 or 4 in silos or whatever, but in the next 100 days, all of you, your operations will be formalized. Government is also going further. Who you will work hand in hand with, who will come with machinery to help us get advantage out of this. And the government is going to will be now taxing you after 100 days. We'll begin getting our tax so that we can provide for our area here in Kikonge. That was not done. There was no communication between the people they are calling illegal miners, who are their own citizens, who want to fend for their livelihoods. No communication between them and the government that they elected. All that government did was to show itself that it was government, it was powerful, and the people had to get out of there. The 120 kilometers Godrich area has now been cordoned off. The public should not go there. How does that help the people? It doesn't help the people. There should have been some form of gold. It is the locals. And they discovered the gold. Government would not have discovered that gold if the locals had not themselves found that gold. Just for that, you need to give them respect. Because now you are going to have wealth in your country, which was ordinarily not there. Shooting at them has never been a solution. Shooting at your own citizens. I'll tell you that even in America, do you know one of the reasons why California is one of the biggest economies in the United States? It started also like this same thing, gold rush. They found the gold, people were allowed to dig the gold, sell it, and money was retained within California. And California now was built using the same resources. Even ourselves, Northwestern province, saw that potential. In the next 100 days, a special cabinet meeting could have been convened with the stakeholders. How can we handle the issue as it is going on for the next 100 days that we have given them? That is how governments operate.
So I'm looking at how government, the approach that they've taken and what you are saying, a little bit similar, but just apart from the 100 days. And in government's defense, they said we had to quickly move in because of the over 50,000 illegal miners. According to government, majority were foreigners. So that's why we needed to move in.
That's not justifiable.
At the end of the day, I'm saying maybe the locals are not even benefiting. The ones that are benefiting, majority are the foreigners. So
for the foreigners to be there, it means a local has given them their land. A foreigner will not just come from Japan and find himself in Kikonge or find himself in Kasenseri or Kanyelele. No. The foreigner has been given that land by the local who feels he cannot go in the field. This is my land. Whichever way you look at it, there's been collaboration between the locals and those foreigners who have come. The Citizens First actually has made it very clear on small-scale miners. We have said we will not have any foreigners in small-scale mining. Small-scale mining will be reserved for locals, period. Had government been clear on small-scale mining, even those foreigners who have found themselves, if at all they are there, they would never have been there. But typical of this government, they will always find a way of getting out of a mess that they have created. The fact is they have not treated the people of Kikonge area well, the people of Northwestern, right? And because of that, they should apologize to the people unreservedly for even pulling guns and shooting at them. And the officers involved, we need to hear what action has been taken on them for shooting at innocent civilians that were trying to get a living.
Yes, according to the Minister of Home Affairs, he said that was a reaction because some mobs over 50,000 were charging at these police officers. So there was warning shot. That's why.
So some lives had to be lost.
That's why that unfortunate incident happened.
That to defend their lives, and so some lives had to be taken. Angel, let's get serious with the way we are handling people's lives. Even those minister can tell us that they were charging at a police officer, and the police officer had to protect their lives, and that's why they had to shoot at them. That is not, doesn't pass for me. That's very serious.
You were in Western Province, Solwezi, and I'm sure you had a chance to also engage with the locals. So then, from your engagements with the locals, what are people saying, especially these areas that are well vested with mineral resources? Are they saying that they're getting the real deal out of these resources that God has blessed them with? Because also when you flip the coin on the other side, one may say, actually, Mr. Kalaba, what you're saying is not much different to what the current government is implementing. Even when you talk about that 100 days, you're still going to look for an investor who's going to come and cooperate with these locals. But there's been different conversations altogether that why can't we sit down and look at maybe systematic ways in which we can capacitate these locals to, yes, have mining licenses, but on a larger scale. Invite big, perhaps you would call them business, local business people, so that we own these mines. We start to own these mines by ourselves.
Citizens first is very practical. We have said it is now 61 years since Zambia got its independence. And 61 years after our independence, our mineral wealth is still in the hands of outsiders. This is wrong. Hands of Zambians. And we are not short of people that are very entrepreneurial in approach. You have a man called Mr. James Ndambo, one of the celebrated business men, man in Africa. That man is able to come here and even invest in that mining thing because he's doing it elsewhere. Why not invite him to say, sit with your locals here and see how you can partner with them? And let's have Zambians begin having monies in their pockets. Zambia is about the only country, if you didn't know, Angel, that does not have a billionaire. Zambia is the only country that doesn't have that one. Why? Because of our policies. Because we think only the Chinese, only the Indians, the Lebanese, Amasene, Nama Nigerians, they're the ones who are supposed to be having billions. While us, it is us to look at them when they're taking out the billions from there. Northwestern province, as it stands now, has not even benefited much from the minerals that are there. You have built a very beautiful airport in Kalumbila. Beautiful airport you've built in Kalumbila. I was there. That beautiful airport is not even servicing the needs of our locals. It is servicing people who are coming to get the gold out of here. Because all we hear about Northwestern province is copper being mined in Mumbwa, copper being mined in Kansenshi, and copper being mined at Kalumbila mines. Where is cobalt? Copper today is selling at $9,600 and I think $675 per metric ton. Gold is selling at $33,335 per metric ton. Why are we only talking about copper? And the European Union has told us that in the next 20 years, they are going to stop using petrol or diesel propelled vehicles. They are moving to electric vehicles. One of the biggest components for electric vehicles is cobalt. Why hasn't Zambia become proactive in ensuring that we begin safeguarding that mineral instead of allowing it to go out of Northwestern province? Northwestern province today should be stockpiling cobalt. It should be the cleanest, most luxurious province that we have because it is wealth everywhere.
So then, do you commend government for this exercise that they are carrying out called mapping, just to see where the minerals are, so that even when we're investing,
there is no exercise they are doing called mapping. I was at Ministry of Lands myself.
That's what the minister told us.
Look, I'm telling you that there is nothing like that, because if you are talking about mapping, why are you stopping people who are trying to bring out wealth, like Sugilite was found in Mansa? Instead of encouraging people to dig out that Sugilite and contribute to the economic emancipation of our people, they were arrested. They were arrested. There in Kasenseli, people, I mean, in Kasenseli, the same thing happened. In Kasenseli, in Munilunga, the same thing happened. Kanyelele in Mpika, the same thing happened. You go to Kikonge in Mufumbo, the same thing has happened, Angel. So there is nothing tangible that they are talking about. They're just good at talking. What we need are practical means of empowering Zambians. Ask them, out of those so-called illegal miners you are calling, how many of them, Nivanga, have you given licenses so that you stop calling them illegal miners, so that you clothe them with dignity of using their initiative to leave Lusaka, to live in Ndola, to leave Kito, to leave Solwezi? They go and pack themselves in Mufumbwe. How many have you dressed with the dignity of calling them legal miners? We feel comfortable calling our own citizens illegal miners in their own country instead of regularizing their operations. That is the job of government. It is to regularize what is not legal so that it becomes legal and the government begins getting its taxes. Because government has only got two ways of raising revenue. Government has only got two ways of raising revenue. It raises revenue either through taxes, taxing its own people, or by borrowing from the World Bank, the IMF, and other multilateral partners. So, if you've got the capacity to begin raising your resource envelope by having the so-called illegal miners to turn them into taxpayers, why would you want to tell us about, we are mapping? People want to eat. They have discovered the gold. Why you did not even do your mapping? So be practical and move fast.
Oh, a lot of money has been directed towards that.
Mapping.
Yes, towards mapping. So we'll wait.
We'll
wait and see. If,
I'm asking you a question here, Kasabo.
Mm-hmm.
How many have received licenses?
Stop.
We are talking about miners who are dying.
This is what they've told the people. This is what they've told us, that
Kasabo, we are talking about miners who are dying and they're not being given licenses. That is my concern. When is the Ministry of Mines going to improve its operations? Cadastre Department, when are they going to improve their operations in giving these so-called illegal miners? And they should stop that word of illegal miners. You can't be an illegal miner in your own country. What they are miners who are looking for papers. Give them the papers and get your taxes.
Okay, let's get to very, very quickly something that's also been making a lot of headlines just recent. The Constitution Amendment Bill of number 7 that was deferred. So firstly, this particular bill, the Constitution Amendment Bill, those pronouncements by the president that Zambians had agreed to amend the constitution, and then there was this roadmap that was given, and then this particular bill was published in the government gazette. But in the run-up to, I think the first reading even happened just after the first reading. The president met with quite a number of stakeholders, the church, civil society organizations, that all expressed their concern for the process, to say it's not consultative. It was at that particular time that the president instructed the Minister of Justice to defer the bill for further consultation. Now, just when this was happening, the Constitutional Court also ruled that this particular process that Parliament was undertaking was unconstitutional because it lacked that consultative sort of aspect to it. Sorry, I'm not a lawyer, so I'm just explaining things layman's language. But now, things have changed. The Speaker wrote that the courts have got no right to suspend an ongoing legislative process in the National Assembly. And she was very categorical that Amendment Bill number 7 can return to the floor of the House if the mover decides. And if those consultations are met and the mover decides to bring it back, it is okay, we can discuss this particular bill. Laz has now sort of petitioned this particular decision. So from the very top of the Amendment Bill number 7, what do you make of everything that has been happening to where we are now?
Okay, before I even talk about that, I want to go back to the illegal miners. You're calling them illegal miners. I want to say that all those who have been working in Kasenseli, the locals, all those who have been working in Mufumbwe, Kikonge, all those who have been working in Kanyelele and in Mpika, they must know that when we come into government next year, our job will be to give them small-scale mining licenses in those same areas where they are being displaced. We want them to have small-scale mining licenses so that we can tax them. We are going to do that, and we are going to fast-track the process of ensuring that they have those small-scale licenses. This is their country, and they have to benefit from their country. So we'll regularize their mining as soon as we come into government next year. Talking about Bill 7. That Bill 7 we're talking about, Angel, it should not even have seen the day of light in Parliament. This country has got a way of dealing with amendments to the Constitution. In 1964, we had the Mainza Chona Constitutional Review Commission, if you remember. That was supposed to deal with white minorities and stuff like that at the time. Constitutional Review Commission, or Manakato Constitutional Review Commission, Mumbwa, I think.
Yes, should have been Mumbwa.
Yes. Which was basically trying to now bring in things like non-government organizations and civil liberties and things like that. Then you had the Manakato Constitutional Review Commission. Then you had, so all these Constitutional Review Commissions, at the end of the day, were not sitting at State House or in their homes. No. These were going around the country, get the views of the people, and then take the views to Parliament. Parliament was the last player. But typical of our colleagues in the UPND, and in fact I should not say in the UPND, because I've talked to several colleagues in the UPND who have told me, no, we don't support this.
So just for point of correction, you said 1992
was Manakato, right?
Yes, Manakato actually.
And then Mumbwa.
Yes.
In 2002, 2001, Mumbwa Review Commission.
Yeah.
So, we are saying that the process was not followed. The chiefs have said no. The entire country has said no to that Bill 7 thing. So, how did it find itself there? That is why I have always said, if Mr. Ichilema was serious with defending the Constitution of the Republic of Zambia, the president should have tendered in his resignation for taking a bill like Bill 7 and allowing it to go to Parliament when he did not consult the people. He should have respect for the people that put him in that office. It is disrespect of the highest order to take a document behind the people's will to that august assembly and wanting to use the Parliament for your own personal aggrandizement. It is wrong, and it should not be tolerated. Therefore, that bill should not only be... This is what gives me hope in our country, that there are always remnants. The Concord went ahead and said that bill should not even have gone to Parliament, if you have taken time to read it. The Concord is basically saying, you did not follow the procedure of asking the owners of the Constitution, because the Constitution is our document. It is not a UPND Patima Constitution, no. It is a Zambian Constitution involving you, Angel, and myself as Harry. We are stakeholders in that Constitution. Therefore, we need to have a say on that document. And the Concord is affirming that which is embedded in the Bill of Rights, that we needed to have a say on that, and we didn't have a say on that. So it should not even have seen the day of light. So there are two things. Speaker is saying Parliament is independent, and Parliament has to, they'll continue considering that. The Concord is saying, yes, we acknowledge you are independent as Parliament, because there are three wings of government: the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. But in this instance, we are saying the procedure, the modus operandi that was used of taking this bill to the House, especially this bill on which will be fidgeting with the Constitution of the people, it didn't have their input. That makes it illegitimate. That makes it wrong. And because of that, you who's pushing it from your house, you should also come out from that veil and say sorry to the people of Zambia, instead of showing up and trying to tell us that what you are doing is the way it should be. No, sir. That Bill 7 should not come back to that Parliament. Go to the people first. No shortcuts when it is people's business. It's not a company, a personal company of anybody. This is the people's business. If it's people's business, the people have to have a say in what is going on.
Yeah. And also looking at the long-term conversations on the constitution, because also one of the concerns coming through from stakeholders was that the timing was wrong. In your considered view, what is the best time to, if you want to have these constitutional amendments or just have conversations on the constitution, what is the best time that we, as a nation, we start to have these constitutional amendments?
The best time,
because one of the cause they said the timing is wrong a year before the elections, and there may be a little bit of suspicion here and there. But what is the best time?
Look, I'll tell you that the best time is when the people have asked for it to be done. That's the best time.
Regardless,
and I can't say it's a year before,
even if it's 4 months before an election. So
if the people themselves want it, that's because that's what it's all about. It's what the people want.
So for you never had a problem with the time frame? For
us, we had the problem of bringing it when people had not asked for it. That was our biggest problem. The time frame only came in at the very end, because at the end of the day, look, the president should be concerned and the UPND administration should be concerned with making sure that the Electoral Commission of Zambia has enough resources to be upgrading the voters' roll. They should be in a hurry to make sure that those who have lost NRCs are getting them, because the elections are only about in 9 months' time. We are going for the elections as a country. That is what should concern them. And above that, they should be concerned that Zambia doesn't have electricity. We are in near darkness as a country. That is our major problem right now. Not if your constitution. They should concentrate on ensuring that we have a constitution that is people-driven. And people right now are suffocated with darkness. When the government is busy selling electricity to Namibia, and the Namibians came. You remember, Angel? The Namibians came at the office of the vice president there to thank us for giving them electricity. They said, without you, would have been in darkness. Without you, would have been having serious load shedding. And the businesses of our people, especially the small-scale businesses, those who are running barber shops, those who are running salons, those who are running butcheries and welding, their businesses would have suffered greatly, because 40 or 30% of them contribute to the economic treasure. And our vice president was seated there, agreeing that yes, they would have suffered. But she forgets that our own businessmen here, abantu abama-salon, abantu abama-barber shops, abama-welding machines, abaleshisa with fresh, nobody is selling those things anymore, because they don't have power. We are having 16 hours of load shedding. That is why, Angel, I say, when we come in government as citizens first, we have already started the project. When I was Foreign Affairs Minister, we started the project in Chongwe there. That project we started was to generate electricity, about 20,000 megawatts of power. You know that Zambia's capacity, even at peak value, even when you don't have problems in Kariba, ZESCO only does about 3,400 megawatts of power. And our consumption capacity as a people is sitting at about 2,200 megawatts every day. Now, if you are producing 20,000 megawatts, Angel, a day, it means you are going to start your industries. And that is what the Citizens First is talking about. We want to industrialize this country. We used to make shirts and suits. Cereals in Luansha was making suits. But today, you have to go pamukambo, pamuayashta jeans ne shirt from Mufulira, and then you come at we are independent. Today, we are producing tobacco in this country because we don't have electricity. Our tobacco is being processed in Malawi. But Malawi, hydropower stations, they are the ones who are processing your tobacco. Today, you are growing soya beans as a country, but your soya chunks are being done in Tanzania. Today, you are growing cotton. But if you think about Fuala, or DRC Congo, why should it be like that when we have a leadership that should have been dealing with those things? That nuclear plant which we brought, we even signed an agreement to get young guys who are doing sciences to go and start nuclear science in Russia. Come back after 4 years and run our nuclear plant. They have abandoned that plan. When I become president, that thing is coming back to life, because we are not even ashamed. We are the only country in SADC that is experiencing 16 hours of load shedding. Are you telling me, by Zimbabwe, we share the same Kariba? On the Zimbabwean side, they are enjoying. It's for up to now, we don't have power. What type of people are we? We have been laughing at Zimbabwe, saying Zimbabwe has got sanctions. Zimbabwe has got sanctions. But the people with sanctions don't have 16 hours of load shedding. If we are worse off. We are worse off than than Somalia, where there is war happening. Because even there right now, if you go and read, even in a war situation, even in Gaza where they are fighting, there is a rule that power should not go for more than 8 hours. Where there is a war happening, there is a rule of having power, not for more than 8 hours. Here we are not even at war. We are not even at war here. But we have 16 hours of load shedding. And somebody is saying, Kwenyu, shame.
The number is 0956 200490, 0956 200490. Hello, good morning. You are through to the program.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Your name and where are you calling us from?
This is Isaac from the city of Mumbwa. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Chibuya.
Machibuye?
How are you and your president and the family there?
I'm fine, Machibuye. Ni sawabu.
Where you are keeping the issues. And I think in Kalaba, I remember I don't mind about when the best being the much better in Landwa, but I think
Thank you, sir.
Then question number is in a like
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Chibuye, calling us from the Cover Belt. Hello, good morning. Yes, your name and where are you calling us from? Yes, Vashimalan.
Washimala Mashukan.
Na mune tuwalisa wa UPND abantu babunga batuka nenzeri mafuta umbinga atuka na nisaipa so ngasakwa kwa UPND ba opposition mwapanga nani mistake wa UPND batapita tukalira mubini bantu mwina Zambia wonse nombapa alakakwa wonse walanda kofi okwe batu muntu badula bena nisaipa so please the opposition kwache mtunga huko bakala bapoteni kwa mano amano yako itemwa yako ibati mwamweka mwatesi lekeni amano ayo kabena Zambia mtima ile kaliko baliko kuchinjwa buteko kwa UPND kufunyapo ikale ni panchi ya umuntu yonso balata rewuni kabena Zambia bakamuvotera okuchinjwa buteko obu na tusula amalaiti kuno mukito yaire mayiro kubushiko takudi abantu balechura abantu abafigayo zero ababe measurement zero abaremba sikomando kumlandi bantu abana kati baletu kutuko mlandi wa UPND ababantu abantu.
Okay.
So please the opposition ikata nini ngachako ba UPND batapita tukalira bakana bangwa inatokera.
All right, thank you so much for your contribution, Washmalan, calling us from Kitwe. You can call us on the number 0956 200490. The phone lines are open. And also getting your contributions on Facebook, that is RCV News. You can post them over there and we'll get to them a little bit later. Hello, good morning. You are through to the program. Yes, your name and where are you calling us from?
This is Raymond calling from Kitwe.
Yes, go ahead with the contribution.
Ashuru Tamiten.
So we can only thank God that President Kalaba is alive and the grace of God
Thank you.
Talking about due courage, I think he was ambassador of Ireland. How about I do due courage? Bantu abakalamba bakateka. Wali bantu abanonga bakateka. No bantu bakalamba bawa. COVID is very shame that economy, whether you got economy level or macro level, but people who are working out in here, but are really for keep the shoe and bakateka. But you don't keep them like 2 hours to bakateka. So I pick up your product, the redemption, but we won't get some more position. So which will take over the coffee. God bless you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Let's get one more Kwande in response to these concerns. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello, Mawumben.
Unawona mashuken mkwai?
Yeah, mkwai nikuwara
mkwai
katika Mawumben na imwe.
Yeah, mkwai mashuken mwantungurushe.
Yeah, mkwai. Nini wo FM ndetu mina kundola.
Ba FM?
Mkwai FM ndetu mina kundola. Mkwai yawe nina tira kafe correction. Ya kwa tikuri other radio station eko to ufire but if aba kuchikonje kuda na watu barabe na maloko aba kumushikura kwine atifwe twari iwombera wino she minus ama na janisha kutinya nomba abantu abafumbire kumarutaka ko padeo dala town ebale ifyongo adena chief spokesperson adisala ndajawe batire na mapanga bantu bari kwata mapanga kumala town amapanga na mapisto sheba president muri aware and wali shapo aba kuria kwini because that bari batinya bari kuma country aba town.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, FM. Mr. Kalaba, I'll give an opportunity to respond to those and then we'll get back to the calls.
No, by FM kondola your issue ya abantu kana mapanga zinesha yumfwapo because abantu chine bana mapanga zikudi. I think about it veka tapantioni shite ile faikwa. Ifo nishwe kutila amazambians bali kuya ku mufumbwe elo amazambians taba pele ko chance ya kutila abene bambi okuyibombela nokusta regularize imibombele yabo. I think epa the problem abasta regularize imibombele yabo tapana ngumu wafuile intungurusha shikana tumabaga pokola kuli abaya kuja kwa mkulondolo kutila ni fine fefe mfido kuikala. Nobody would have died there. So in the future nikene kuita abantu ati my illegal miners but ama miners apesa mapepa la wale bomba ba Raymond uchurufya kukitwe if let's come parliament kwenda fyabulanda ba Raymond abantu basichire basaba mungande amafunde bale firo kulala ndefa firo kulanda mulando wakutila ngati alande nishikumutanza mu parliament tuyelo mbaba mawe ba speaker ba muti utila mayo alamika lapatala mwina patalika lekeni abasaba mu parliament abene balande kanto atunokulalanda. Let them be free to speak. That's why it's called parliament. Parliament is derived from the term parler in French. Parler is to speak. So abantu bamuda mu parliament ukanalanda balande fanto for kumfwa kwanjira kwa abantu babo basunyinisheni balayiranda bashimalani ba UPND fishinka nga walanda atinisaiba nga muntu wabo alelando wa UPND ati chaume chalishipa but nga wa mu opposition ati mukatenda cyber tefe chalishifiro kubechiyo wose tuli mazambians tupusene fe mukumona mufyo twikele in different political parties but interest yonse mazambians, we are Zambians and the Kenya abantu babe free ukula ilandila fyo kulanda chiro kula bastantwani kani kabe na format opposition bekatani ifanga ba citizens first twalilando kutila ifo twaliba open ukubomba na bonse walefa tubombe na bena and temulandu wakutila pantu Kalaba ni citizens first president kale fwa abambi awe abo bonse abenga fwa yokubomba na ifanga ba CF more opposition. Ten twikatane. Twikatane. There is power in unity. Vachibuye kundola fishing kauna fumine mu twanikande when I resigned ine mfwa mutendo peture bombela alokabidi mfwa yefintu fya straight itati ama illegal miners tukabapela protection in the sense that ngatwamona tikuli gold ko kuli copper kuli ama emeralds ofense filiko umulimo wa government kuya kokulya nokusta regularize abantu mwakana bena na meeting nemfumo na bamwe nemushi mwikala na bena twalaikala shani amano mambulwa imo bamwe nemushi twebe niko fetunga stanga ba government bamye banga ba government okay again to say full lebani tukabwera but in the interim batule fa abantu abokubakanya cha muntu opwale funyo mjere mulekeza le funyo mjere para peni batu abapela 6 months outera bafitera gyolaza papers yabo konkanye pokola bomba mazambians tamwaka muna ma foreigners ukusa mkumpokela kusa mkumpokolo lopo mule bombela tafia kabombe ifwe ngaba CF tukabanga bana fumba kufuta tiringo questions.
Okay, this text message says, "Good morning, RCV. My question goes to the president out there. Is he okay? This one was this question was asked through the phone call.
Through what?
Yeah, he actually it was about the pandas in Kikonge. So it was already asked here. Your name and where you calling us from?
Yes, we're talking to
Rashimagi, Brother Morgan. Okay, go ahead with the contribution.
Good morning, everybody, and good morning, the listeners.
Good morning.
And I know that Christian voice countrywide and outside the country, in Congo, for everywhere. Like an access from 1994 up to now. So we appreciate this voice and bring Christian voices over. The first issue I want to say is this. Number, we know how the time when you are thinking about that from about transport. So the of issues is that you need the album there. MMT, TF, now it's UPND. You know our bosses. You know the
Lost him.
our bosses, farmers, our bosses, we are the trying to politics, like bring the good message to the people so that they can believe what you are talking. And this, to win the heart of the people, is about talking of the fact.
Okay. Hello, good morning. You are through to the program.
Hello,
Yes, your name and where you calling us from?
my name is Elijah. How are you, President David?
How are you, sir?
My name is Mumbwa.
My legend. Okay, it's good to hear from you, sir.
I know you are also a Christian. So what did you do for me? You are getting me.
Yes, sir.
What did you do is this. Of course, I have no doubt in my mind that you are going to be the president. No doubt whatsoever.
Amen.
What I would like to appeal to you is to pray for me that you become president after I'm dead. Criticism. The members are on the way, CRITICS, they say, what critique? No critique, what is the devil? No critique, no critique, no critique. Criticism, you are educated. You are very educated, but as you have come across this term, compare and contrast. Compare and contrast, but with you, you don't compare, don't contrast. It's a criticism. So my fear is that since I'm old man, if you became president tomorrow, I will just be getting everything as correct. These things you'll be saying, you know, they are such like people have been attracted. Nobody is president, but I'm telling you, some of them, separated by political utopia, euphoria, and the onomatopoeia. So what I'm saying, I have no doubt, I don't doubt you to be president, but I would be very pleased if you communicated with Jesus Christ in heaven that you become president on next year when after I'm dead, because when you become president, shall be example everything.
Mr. Elijah, I've got a question for you. Why do you want him to be president after you die?
Then I like to commit foresight by the way he presents issues. I think he's going to bring heaven to heaven from heaven to earth.
All right. Thank you so much. Really appreciate your comment. Thank you so much. Okay. You know him?
Mr.
It looked like you know him.
I know him, Mr. Is he the one? I think he's been to see us before. He's in this organization for, I think, the physically challenged.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's the one, eh?
Interesting.
Anyway,
let's get calls.
Yeah.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, bye.
Your name and where you calling us from?
This is Chanda. Good morning, my President Harry Kalaba.
Wachanda wabonse meeting.
Wa President Murendo sana kuino. Kumba ile ama question ni kwachireko. Tapitisha ti imwenga mwapita imwe na next year. Bali fioro prepare wa planning chimkwete. Yakora fu kule bali wa fioro. Ora futi kama nani? Ama fioro substitutes. Kama shani kuli imwe. Kabaisha kama fioro substitutes kwa para kuli unga na kuli fioro. Ama substitutes na kama substitutes ta aba mfuradi mwe. Ora futi na bali imwe na banani aba. Kujoina nani? Alliance ile nani tonse ile. Wala join na mtonse na ngu wala fuate alliance.
All right. Wachanda, that's 3 questions already.
Yeah, that's very right.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Chando Awonse. Hello, good morning. You are through to the program. Your name and where are you calling us from? Yes, Mr. Lamek.
Ba Lamek meeting them kwai. Atushukukiito mashuka shana. Machule ni mkwai.
Lara bombashani abana bandi bajya babashokwa babare bombashani lara ikarashani bakara bapiso babata bombesheni ubuteko nabo usunga Zambia era bari ko position bari tena bunotane kicharo bari ko position wa president wa president bari tena bunotane kicharo bari ko position bari buleno
Okay. Balamek, thank you so much. We'll have to let you go because we're running out of time. Thank you so much. All right, let's get our very last caller, Mr. President. Let's just get our last caller so that you quickly respond to those concerns. This text message says, "Good morning, Mr. Kalaba. I would like to get your opinion on load shedding. This is too much." Thank you so much for your text message. On load shedding, there's no name for this particular text message. Let's see if it is.
Mwamanta pali ishi nani shiref makurani. Chwa bene ba State House balele mbef. Ani bakapokola mu State House. System wale bomfi.
Okay. All right. I think you could respond to those.
Opinion on load shedding. I think nachanda pokuta load shedding na ichama sana mchalo chesu. fena chilanda kana chilanda kuti la ifwenga va citizens first kuchitwa fwaya issue ya load shedding tukaleko kustisha lighting na vafe president tukaleko kustisha lighting situation ngaika konkanyapo mpaka ilianshita when our situation will improve as a country. Note icho cheka na tulando kuti tulefa tufume kuli hydropower station na hydropower generation na reliability. Tulefa tukambio ku nuclear energy. Yani akuchongwe kudya which will be producing 20,000 megawatts of power. And our president therefore idea facility kakonkanyepo ukuipusha kusta rehabilitate. Zambia yachinda misha kula ikaloka bula malaiti. Abantu bachinda misha twaliafu efyalo poko buntungwa twaliafu efyalo efyalelwa chirafikwa to omutembe nishifye pantu bangola otwale yafwa ba Malawi yebo twafwa ba Namibia otwafwa poko buntungwa ilelo bale kwata malaiti ba South Africa ifa kwata malaiti mulandi wa butungulu shitukwete ushishiwe ifa kuteke chalo nombanga nalandefi ba mwale bangwase bando kutila yo criticism ifintu kuta chefyo lemona tetinde tesalefe nchire mona iyo ifintu kuta chefyo ndemona pali ino nshita akuchushi ulimo ishirambo kufurungana ine wakutilanise kuno ku radio station njambi okulomba twene load shedding mwandini nababomba pa load shedding olonga na tashanisho ala mfabono ba mwale aho ba mwale alo mwelayo lumbuile mfwa wa mwali mwelayo lumbuile mfwa tamubako ko baledila balia olo berami bomvya tiyo landa pa radio tamubako baledi abeka bale mshingo luche tekwesha tamubako ko baledi kutira balame kimuntali issue ya malaiti temubuchi mweka chalo fe chonse kaina mfo bulanda kutira abana banandi uko bankashiyandi amasalon na besala mababa shops na besala yonsha ya mafia ya labwa pantu ifuna tukwata solution ya nuclear power plant iyo yuko na tukwata kale ni 3-4 months time and this issue will be normalized kabiri first of all tuwaisa mofie amalai tukale ko kushitisha yetule shishayo ta ukwete that is wrong ba chanda wabonse ama questions ba chip shali 4 ya namba last ya chwa kutila ushe ngamwaisa mwakunkanyapo ukushita rely on hydropower station answer yandi yakwe bati iyo ngati waisa tukashita diversify tukalabo mfya ko solar nomba tukalabo mfya makambaka nuclear energy ebo mfya ba America ebo mfya ba London ebo mfya ifyalo fye finga ba Mozambique in the region ba mfya nuclear energy na ifwe beninga tuwaisa cha number 1 ama hydropower stations tukaleko kukulira mu southern belt because tamuli mfula ama experts watubati mfula nomba ishele ku northern belt eko akulira ama hydropower stations tukachinja fyonsefi but our main thrust will be investment in nuclear energy, will be investments in thermal energy, will be investments in wind propelled energy, will be investment in biomass. We are going to investigate various forms of energy so that Zambia does not only rely on hydropower station. Elwando kutila ushemo lejo ina batonse na ngwalabe fofina iyo tatule jo ina batonse iyo ngaba CF but shinga cha kutila ba bantu tonse ni PF mainly. That's the major party in Tonse.
But also
PF.
Quite a number of political parties.
Yes,
there.
but the major party and PF. So tulando kutila tukabomba na bena side by side.
But not joining the alliance.
Join alliance, our CF to join alliance. But CF echo bale for a number. Niba opposition ni bonse fe tuikatane. Tuombele pamo. Not ati fe tulimuli alliance, fe tulimuli indwa nika ne fe tulimuli alowa vingo ko wa teminina. Iya vulu matairia. Apana abatu ebo kutila. Ifwenga tatuwa sambe, it is a swim or sink. Apanga tatuwa ikatane will sink. Apanga tuwa ikatana mu opposition. Tuwaendo kutila uli ingile pali ifo balefu wa president noyo. Nishi changa no kwanguka. So ifanga ba CF we are very open minded. Wonsha balefu kubomba na ifo. Karibu sana. what will happen akuli fuel subsidy katwaisa mulimo wa government uku making sure kuti la if it chita affect ama citizens mwafishita subsidize iyi government na if lokta subsidize fuel mulando wakuti la uku alefumenda amashama subsidies kuma mines vali vapela 5 years tax holidays chirenda lama shafmapo. Number 2, ama mineral tax but still reduced from 6% to 3%. So revenue vale generate from the mining sector yali ya panshi tabaku atenda lama to subsidize fuel ifenga tuwaisa chalanda mapange pano but mwishi wefe ukuthi la fuel is an important component. Oba na foreign affairs minister na lile kulobito ku Angola Angola bali mupepi ukuchira bana nabali okutali. We began discussing, and one of the issues was the configuration of their oil in Angola and our machine in Ndola. But amadozi shalande pantu mapanga esunga ba CF. Issue benefit kutila fuel effort tukayibombela ponga ba citizens first, and we'll make sure that the price is stabilized. If you every month ukulanda tinaturu ndala tuwesha, forget. We are bringing in a new order. Baka unda ba take Zambia for years. Tama umfile pati every month by ERB by the TV. Wachiro ba take Zambia for years. Tama umfile pati every month by ERB. Ba sata ba lungu. Takwa hivyo. Nombanga wanishi wena every month. Balanda tumu aichali limine. Bamulo wa beni ya ba UPND. So, fuel procurement yose vitu kafiwombela na totera. Wa elaja wachama to compare and contrast. I think I've been comparing and contrasting here, Angel. Ngandeshta koti vachiluva. Ngandelumbula vakaunda. Nishindeshta compare. Then contrasting. Ganalanda right now if you chitika. Now to feel to stabilize the kwacha. Pamulanduwa kutiela. We are importing more than we are exporting. Ufainga tuwa isa. Turefa tuka making sure kutiela. Ama exports ya fula. Not only in mining, but also in the agriculture sector. Am I incentives for our farmers? Am I incentives? I am a civil servants. Because right now, I'm a civil servants. I'm a civil servants. Give it to our citizens first. I want a civil servants waka pokola. Ba teacher, ba nurse, ba doctor, ba council, bomba rural areas. Not to be batinga wa bomba for 10 years. Rural area, you'll be qualifying for a duty-free vehicle. Kaina tula nate akopeka nga wabomba rural area ifwenga ba CF latulando kutila tukala mipela 100% of your basic pay as your rural hardship allowance because mule bomba kodia. Elo issue ya pension schemes. Issue ya pension schemes. We are going to work it out in such a way that abantu balipo kama pension yabo. Balipo kama pension yabo. Kupo kama pension olo bachiri no bumi. Tuanaka abantu babomba wele flow kulapo kama pension yabo mulando wakana kwato utungurushi ule balandirako ufenga tuwaisa. We are going to restructure these pension schemes akambi okubombela abantu abene abashubombele ndalama balanda tukolwe yakota asabirwa nabana umuntu wabomba mu company imyaka yonse ngakota abafire okola musabira ni company na ngune investment yale pango mwine contribution yale panga fatampo kumulolekesha po mwine ifenga ba CF so don't even worry. Hope is along the way. Hope is coming next year. And pafo insofuka lolo. Ama Zambians na banaka na baneswa.
Mr. Kalaba, thank you so much for coming through to the program this morning. Let me quickly get your concluding remarks under 60 seconds.
Kuto tena fieva kasabo wesu for giving us an opportunity to be here. I thank you so much, and for the interactions. To all the callers who took time to call and interact with us, thank you very much for that opportunity. We have learned one or two things from these conversations we have had. We have taken note, but we can assure you that we continue representing your interests without fear or favor. Because at a time such as this, the bus drivers now Yango drivers now the only voice of reason that can come up and stand up for them is ourselves as CF. Kaitule mi papa musakamana kuli imwe baba nefo kujoin a party yesu. Please tumineni ba majori ba deputy national chair lady bali pa 0977 77 9133. 0977 77 9133. Na ngola mtumi neba fili monzulu kukabweko bali nabo. Ni 0977 77 41 0977 0977 I think it's 0977 41 22 11. I think so. 0977 77 42 11. Okay, you have a feeling one. I think I can't really remember it now. So many things coming in my head. But 2 million majority on 0977 77 91 33. That is the number. Now, when you know in Harry Kalaba, you can call me on 0977 794129. 0977 794129. Now, don't tell her for the opportunity to be here. It's on the pad.
All right, thank you.